with respect to what our bodies can do. So let's do more than that. We got one. I'm not going to count much. So follow along as best you can. This starts the second half. Keep it together.
Yes, sir.
See yours one time? Now go from the halfway point to the end. Then pick a specific part.
Sir.
Good. Okay. So, part of very good swordsmanship, one of the main parts of martial arts in general is awareness, right? So when I say awareness, or better yet, consciousness, right? So when you become conscious, not subconscious, when you become conscious of something, or you become aware of something, you become cognizant of something, especially where a hand is. So you want, part of good swordsmanship, of course, is awareness of where the blade is, right? Spatial awareness. I'm not just going to swing my blade and there's a toddler here, right? So I'm not just swinging my blade willy-nilly. I know where my blade is going. I know how my blade is going, how it's cutting, right? I know which direction the blade is, all that stuff. So being made aware of a blade is very important, right? If you ever cut with a knife, like you're in the kitchen and you use a sharp knife, it's important. Everyone always tells you, pay attention to the blade, don't run with the blade. Make sure you know if you're not using it, point it down. So after all of that focus has happened with the blade, especially a long blade, da dao, you need to focus on your other appendages. Does that make sense? So it's great if you focus on this blade. It is not great if you only focus on this blade and you forget about focusing on this hand. So while you're aware of this hand, you also become hyper aware of this hand. You don't. In addition, most of the time these moves were created on the battlefield, right? So people are practicing these motions on the battlefield during war, and the last thing you want is to be very focused on cutting and fighting this guy, that you leave this hand out here willy-nilly for his buddy to cut off, right? While you're playing with this guy, this arm is gone. So essentially, what you start to learn is, as you practice, anytime the sword is out, the hand is not, right? Anytime the sword is coming around to that side of the body, the hand doesn't stay out, right? Anytime I'm cutting around, right, anything like that, the hand goes opposite where the blade is. That's not only to prevent injury, it's also to balance out the set. If I stick an extension of my arm, which is what the sword is, if I stick that out this way, it makes sense to counterbalance and stick this one out this way. Same thing when we punch. I don't just punch with one hand. It looks like I did, but after the first hand is in, when I switch, I punched and I yanked back. So this yank also gave my punch power. Does that make sense? So the same thing is true. This yank gives the thrust power. The thrust gives the yank power. It's balanced. They both go and work together. So, with that being said, we're going to run this set again from the middle to the end. And we're going to really focus on what the left hand is doing. Okay? So from here, we block. Right? So this is the fingers are together, thumb is folded in because we're blocking. If you imagine blocking a spear, you don't want to block with the fingers, you want to block with the padded part of your hand. So blocking and exposing that part. Stepping up, sorry, that's a cat stance, and then step up and cut up. Notice that the hand came in, away from the blade. We're going to roll, and we're going to pull down. Notice the sword, and the hand's going to roll out. Boom. Step, and just like I said, balance, they have to switch. This yank is your thrust power. Switch. Block and shift. Alright, so notice I'm coming overhead. I could easily cut myself on accident. Instead, I'm going to come across, and when it comes time to come across the shoulder, notice the left hand comes in. Prayer position, pulling and presenting. Right, sword fingers are forward. Step, strike. Shift and strike. Cross behind. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. So don't strike, step even and block. Because we're doing the half, the second half. Open and cut. Right, that hand that keeps coming in. It's going to separate and press. Push out and kick. Right, so notice it came in, boom, and it comes out of the way to kick. Boom. Step, strike. There it is again. Shift and block. Cross behind and cut up. Notice the hand is sticking with behind the blade, it's staying away from the blade. Cut, press, roll, pulling in, stopping down, forward. Double step, 1, 2, pull, and strike. Pull. Block, pivot, step back, step forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? 9 and press for 10. Just wanted to really emphasize where that hand is. Okay? Let's see. Now, the last thing that we're going to talk about is most of the time, anytime we show a palm first, anytime we do wipe the sleeve, or anything like that, this is aiming, right? This is your sight. So when I'm here like this, I'm gonna slide right past my hand and they have to trade positions. So after I pull, I'm gonna strike, and strike exactly where my hand was facing in front. Exactly, same thing when you punch. You wipe the sleeve. It's kind of like picture framing what you're gonna punch. And you put your fist right where your hand was. So the same thing is true for your sword. Right, so that was all the pointers that I had for today. Go home and practice what we just did and practice aiming and striking correctly.
Senior Head Instructor.
Bow to apprentice instructor, first degree, advanced and intermediate at home. Very good job.